Hello everyone, this is Mark with Lean ISO Management Systems. This video discusses element 851 of the ISO 9001 standard, Control of Production and Service Provision. The standard states that the organization shall implement production and service provision under controlled conditions. Controlled conditions shall include, as applicable, a. the availability of documented information that defines 1. the characteristics of the products to be produced, the services to be provided, or the activities to be performed, and 2. the results to be achieved. Before we dive into the requirements, let's stop here for a moment to understand what the term "as applicable" means, because it relates to many requirements in this clause and the standard in general. I suggest going back to clause 4.3, which sets out the requirements for determining the scope of the QMS. At the bottom of the clause, it states, conformity to this international standard may only be claimed if the requirements determined as not applicable do not affect the organization's ability to ensure the conformity of its products and services and enhance customer satisfaction. I will show you an example of applicability as we go through the requirements of the clause. Meanwhile, that we have determined what is applicable and what is not, let's discuss the availability of documented information about the product's characteristics, activities, and results. The most typical documentation for production and service provision is a work order or a traveler. These documents typically list the operation number, short instructions for actions, or a reference to the corresponding procedures, the operations result, pass or fail status, reference to nonconformities or deviations, evidence of completion with a stamp or initials of the operator, and others. These documents also list outsourced operations and their status. The following requirement B states that controlled conditions shall include the availability and use of suitable monitoring and measuring resources. Before responding to the requirement, let's discuss the difference between monitoring and measurement. Monitoring is a method to verify if a process is within its specific range. This may include a process control chart showing product characteristics against established control limits. On the other hand, measurement demonstrates the characteristics value and how much it relates to its target. This requirement may be a good example to illustrate the term's meaning as applicable. As we discussed earlier, any requirement is applicable if it affects the organization's ability to ensure the conformity of its products and services. Let's say you manufacture car jumpstart cables. Perhaps I thought of this example because I needed one recently. Your packages advertise 4, 6, and 9 feet in length. Will you meet your obligation to the customer if a package marked 6 feet long measures only 4 or 5 feet? The answer is no. In this case, we must resort to the availability and use of suitable monitoring or measuring stages in our process. I am having difficulty thinking of a process that would not need monitoring or measurement, but let's talk about a domestic situation. Let's say you are helping a neighborhood prepare for a flood, and your company is filling up sandbags. Does it matter if your bags are 50 pounds or 55? No, it does not. With the time constraints, your customers just need bags 45, 50, or 55 pounds, they do not care. I know this is not a very technical scenario, so if you think of a better example of a process where measuring is not applicable, please don't hesitate to comment. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. When we determine that our production process shall use monitoring and measurement, let's return to our work travelers. As needed, these documents specify requirements for the inspection and test operations. Here, we identify the necessary measuring devices and other monitoring resources for the specific operations to demonstrate product conformity. The following point C reiterates the previous requirement, so let's skip it. This is all the time we have for the discussion today. We will continue exploring this clause in the following video. Meanwhile, let's summarize what we covered today. Specify applicability of the requirements. Establish necessary documented information. Determine monitoring and measuring resources. As always, check our free downloads. Do not hesitate to contact me if you need assistance implementing your lean management system. Speaking of assistance, do not forget that we have a LinkedIn group discussing Lean ISO management systems issues. Join us and share your experiences with the group. Before you go, remember to subscribe, share, like, and comment. Your support helps us promote our Lean QMS project.